Alright, so with the release of issue 2 of the Batman 89 comic run, I gotta say that things are starting to take off rather nicely in this one. With saying that, today I'm gonna give you a little story time and go over the wonders that lie within these pages. So without wasting any more time whatsoever, let's dive into this. So, Showdown in Burnside starts immediately where we left off last issue and shows us the National Guard going after the Batman. Using the good old art of deception, he tricks them into thinking he's coming down, then throws a bat flashbang at them while grappling to the rooftops by the thief from the end of the last issue. In typical National Guard fashion, one of them accidentally shoots the innocent man, killing him on the spot, and Batman watches as he plunges to his death. We cut over to the next morning with our favorite butler bringing up breakfast to our favorite millionaire to find his bed to be vacant, with the news of the night prior playing on the radio. Alfred descends to the Batcave to find our brooding bat, brooding, to the fact that the young father of the child that was killed in front of him. A very strong and emotional start to the issue, I gotta say. The title text hasn't even rolled in yet. On the next page, we have some Barbara and Harvey quality time going on as they're trying out Batman's batarangs, trying to figure out how they work. With Babs programming it to come back to hit Harvey, Mr. No Fun is having none of it and insists that whoever made this batarang is already a raging millionaire since this thing is already worth millions, which leads me to think that Harvey is eventually going to be on Bruce's ass throughout the series, considering I'm assuming that he's going to be curious on where this thing came from, since there's no patent on it whatsoever. The page ends with them wrapping up their activities and hopping into a taxi to Burnside. Barbara asks to get shown around his childhood neighborhood, and he gives her a hard no. Harvey really is Mr. No Fun. Next page, we are shown there is a protest going on by the civilians outside of Mr. Otis's shop, all about the people that were killed the night prior. And from here, we are introduced to our Robin-to-be, Drake Winston. It was originally going to be Richard Drake, a literal name fusion of the Robins Richard Grayson and Tim Drake, but was later changed to Drake Winston. First panel with him, we see him shining some tires, as opposed to stealing them off of the Batmobile, much like Jason Todd. He is what seems to be a valuable employee of Otis's auto shop, as he is looking for car parts online with ideas on how to put together a searchable database, but he doesn't know how to code since he's building a network. Smart guy though, boy's got brains. Harvey waltzes up in there to ask Drake if he has any information on the parts that were scavenged from the Batmobile from the last issue. Drake, being the absolute masterclass that he is, declines what Dent has to say simply because he is a cop, then proceeds to throw on "Fuck the Police" by NWA and scream ACAB like the young man of culture that he is. Otis proceeds to hold a meeting about the people who died the night prior. They're calling for a peaceful protest until Harvey tries to throw his 2 cents in, then is cut off by the lead man of the council, saying that when things get done Harvey's way, since he has a vendetta for Batman, it's not the Waynes or the Shreks who suffer, it's Burnside themselves. Nice little nod to the Shreks, since they are a Burtonverse exclusive, by the way. And also, nice for calling out Harvey on his own personal agenda, despite him wanting to help however he can. We cut to Burnside Park later that night as the protest is happening, with Harvey giving a speech with the council while Drake strolls by, not giving a literal shit on what they gotta say. He comes across a bunch of robbers, part of a Batman cult, much like in The Dark Knight Returns, as they are planning on stealing a PlayStation 1. Drake drops in full vigilante uniform to kick some ass and put a stop to these thugs' antics. After a back and forth of "who the hell are you?", the thug replies with that he's Batman, and Drake replies with how Batman means absolutely nothing to him as he kicks the most unholy amount of ass here. As someone asks what is going on, the thug replies that they saw Drake robbing the store as he tries to frame him, then Drake holds fist to face to ask him to repeat what he just said. As he says he was robbing the store, he gets punched right after the robber says Robin, and that, my friends, is how Robin gets his name, since some kids assume that the bad guys called him Robin. It's kind of rather poetic, really. You could tell Drake also likes it with the little smirk he's got going on here. Instead of turning them into the cops, since Robin isn't about that life, he recommends to lock the baddies up in a dumpster, just, taking out the trash. We catch up at Wayne Manor, where a giant penny is being dropped off for Bruce. A nice little Burtonverse rewrite of the penny that Bruce keeps within his Batcave in certain iterations, alongside with other trophies from his nights out fighting crime, such as the infamous dinosaur. Bruce is down in the cave training, listening to the news, as Alfred comes down wondering what the actual heck is this and why. But with Alfred knowing Bruce, he should expect the strangest behavior from him. But Alfred questions it. Bruce gets on the defensive, considering he needs something to brighten the place up a bit. Also says that he saved his life, considering that it kinda did. And also admits that his conscience is eating him a little bit from his last outing when the man got killed. So it kind of seems like he depression bought it in a sense. Something we're all a little guilty for, if we're being honest. The page ends with an Alfred quip saying how that he should quit being a vigilante to become a philanthropist. Gotta love the guy, honestly. Moving forward, we catch up with Harves and Barbs as he reflects on his speech earlier, saying how he empathized with the people like he was one of them, like how he'd come home and remembered who he was. But in reality, he's just telling the people what they want to hear, and part of the reason it's going so good for him is because he's dating the daughter of the top cop in town. A little sleazy, a little scummy, but that's cut short when Bullock barges up and calls Dent a two-faced bastard, as he should, and also second name origin in this issue. Gotta respect. Harvey calls the other Harvey out on changing his ways during the speech since he speaks to please. Dent admits that he's been changing codes his whole life, which honestly is a little sus, and then walks right away from this burning bridge with a smile on his face. Billy D. Williams walks into the DA's office to find Bat Keaton waiting for him to tell him that his speech angered people, but said it was a compliment and then says, "Hey, I got this crazy idea." Right after, we cut to the dudes dressed badly as Batman as they're playing pool, talking about how they're gonna go wreck Drake's shit since they followed him home and now knows where he lives. Conveniently, the plan that Bruce pitched to Harvey brings us over to Drake's place, and Bruce is proposing an idea to put every child in the area through 4 years of Gotham University at his own expense, because his conscience is honestly just eating at him too much. Sounds like he's also following Alfred's advice on being a philanthropist after all. Bruce admits Harvey's speech about two Gothams coexisting in the same place also moved him. And also, I gotta say, Harvey with the twos. Gotta love it. Bruce admits that he knows what it's like to lose members of his family to gun violence, and that is also a driving force in why he is doing what he is doing. Drake is in the frame quick before he walks off being annoyed with all the millionaire talk. It is interesting how he has no interest in Batman nor Bruce Wayne in this run, so I'm curious on where they're going to bring this character forward, considering all the Robins have a deep respect for Bruce and Batman. As Bruce leaves, the people talk shit behind his rich boy back, showing that he's getting no respect around here whatsoever, and Harves admits to Barbs that he almost feels sorry for Bruce and his guilty conscience. I mean, at this point, I kind of do too. As Bruce gets to his fancy car, a fire erupts from Otis's garage, so Bruce for some reason just throws a ski mask on, assuming that no one will know it's him, considering most people in the area most likely saw him in the last few minutes, and runs to the scene. On his way there is a fight going on in the alley, and Bruce checks to see what's up. Oh, then there she is. Catwoman appears in her full glory as she's scratching the Batman cult people right in the face and admits that she's been stalking Bruce for quite some time. Surprised that he hasn't been aware of this, considering how smart the man is supposed to be. His crazy ex-girlfriend says that she needs a kiss, and that is the last that we see of her. What a shame. I want more. Their dynamic was one of my favorite parts of Batman Returns. As Bruce and Catwoman are most likely getting it on in the alley since we quickly cut to Harves and Barbs, Harvey asks how Bruce knew the name of the little girl who was orphaned from the guy dying at the beginning of the comic, considering how the information was never released. I swear, Harvey is going to be on Bruce's case to figuring out that he's Batman within this run. He's not that good at not exposing himself. She says to stop the car because the garage is on fire, and Harvey, being the white knight that he is, springs to action to go save the day. He pulls up to Otis, and Otis says that Drake is in there for his afternoon nappy nap like the baby Robin that he is. Then Harvey goes double time to Drake's aid. Harvey D. Williams runs up into the burning building to find that Drake isn't there, runs downstairs in the burning building to the stairs breaking on him due to a car crashing into the garage for some reason. Then that leads him to falling on his face with battery acid leaking his way, leading us to the end of the issue, with the next one being called Scars Run Deep. With this last panel here and the title of the next issue, I wonder what's gonna happen next. Definitely not subtle at all. So there we go, Showdown in Burnside. We got the birth of Robin, Catwoman's short and sweet return, and the cliffhanger of Two-Faced finally becoming Two-Faced. But anyways, I'm gonna quickly wrap things up here. My name is Freddy Savage, bringing you a little story time on Batman 89 issue 2, Showdown in Burnside, and I will BRB as I go read and bring you issue number 3, cause that's out now.